Okay, once again, we are discussing one of the past year question papers from 2024 of the PSIR mains. This is paper one. So, the question is basically how do pressure groups influence the decision making within the government? Now, the first thing for you to understand is what are pressure groups. So, pressure groups are basically organizations formed of citizens, of common citizens who share a particular interest and who come together, they bandy together, they get together in order to pursue and protect that interest. Okay, so it is people who share a common interest. Now, that common interest could also be a common identity, which is very commonplace in India. That is why you have caste based associations, or you might even have, for example, farmer associations. So now, what are the means in which they influence government decision making? Now, first, that when such groups are seeking some kind of benefit, that is how they then they engage in protests in order to seek some kind of benefit from the government. So for example, many examples are there of caste groups that have protested for inclusion in, let's say, the SC list or OBC list, things like that. Now, second is that sometimes there is also public protest and demonstration against certain policies to put pressure on the government against certain adverse policies. We saw this in the farmer protests, wherein the farmer bills were taken back. The next is these pressure groups, they also put pressure on the government during and on political parties for ticket distribution and for cabinet formation. So, for example, if there are farmer groups, they would like adequate representation of people with an agrarian background in parliament and in the cabinet. Next, you have their influence in policy making. So, for example, whenever a bill is under consideration or a policy is under consideration, the government releases white papers. These white papers are released by the government soliciting the input of people, common citizens, and pressure groups from these bill. And usually, you will find at this stage pressure groups get involved. This is particularly true of pressure groups, which are, for example, let us say the gaming industry. Okay, right now there is an adverse ruling of the Tamil Nadu Madras High Court against the gaming industry in India. So the gaming bodies have come together and they are challenging the regulation, the state level regulation. Tamil Nadu had passed a regulation, Haryana has passed a regulation regulating this particular industry. So the owners of these businesses, they have formed a particular pressure group and they are now lobbying against this bill. So in policy making, they have a tremendous role. And the next point is about also about regulators. So there are many government regulators, most important RBI, SEBI, and often these regulators also solicit the opinions of pressure groups. Finally, whenever there are adverse circumstances, then pressure groups get active in order to protect the interests of their members. So, for example, the Steel Manufacturers Association of India. Right now, steel is coming into India, steel is being dumped into India at very low rates from China. So, these manufacturers, their pressure group got together and they have written to the Ministry of Steel and they have written to the Ministry of Commerce, DGTR, Directorate General of Trade Remedies, to initiate anti-dumping investigation and for initiation of dumping duties on these steel products. So these are some of the ways in which pressure groups influence decision making by government.